one thing I noticed, Devony, in your own translations, ask for man and wife, it actually means nobody, these heavenly creatures don't ask whether one is man or woman.
Yes.
And viper's not so much wife as just woman.
Yeah. Okay.
In other words, sex doesn't matter. And she's always been a tomboy.
Right. Yes.
And she's wanted to be a beautiful woman. She's watched with torture while beautiful women like Felina and Mariana go into the bedroom of Wilhelm Meister and have sex with him. And she's in love with him, and he doesn't see her in that way, which is very fortunate for the history of the German novel, because she's underage.
Yeah.
But in fact, he genuinely likes mature, full-figured women.
Yeah.
And she is sort of longing to get his attention in every possible way.
Yeah.
And sort of pines away with sadness, and she's ill. And we have this extraordinary So Lasst, Mich, scheinen, a poem, by the way, that, do you realize, on account of these angels being neither man or woman, that it was cut out of the English translation by Thomas Carlyle, this poem, because it was an incredibly awful thing to say there were no such things as male and female angels. The ideal of the unisex angel just offended too many people. He just had to cut the poem.
Wow.
For English readers, not for German readers.
Huh.
But that's why you don't get this particular poem in Thomas Carlyle's translation. Let's just hear. Thank you. I think that the lovely things there, but the one thing that doesn't satisfy me is that she is thin and white and almost dead,
Yeah.
and in another realm, almost an angel. She says, "Don't take these angel wings from me to the children who want to take them, because I will be an angel." And it's almost like a wraith. And to actually produce that without it suddenly becoming extremely womanly at the end is a tough challenge.
That is the challenge of this piece for me.
And that ewig jung has got to have a color that's, I don't actually like, I very, very seldom quote famous performances of other singers because it's not helpful, but that ewig jung that Schwarzkopf gets in her performance is beyond belief.
Yeah.
And she probably took, with Walter Legg, they probably did 9,000 takes of that before it actually worked out. Because that's how they made gramophone records.
Yeah.
I know. But I mean, the situation is that the vulnerability, and almost like she's walking slightly above the ground. She's so weightless, she's so transparent. She has a wasting disease. I mean, almost certainly tuberculosis, consumption, which renders people very pale and very beautiful in the final stages. They become translucently, almost angelically beautiful. It's not a disease that we see in the final stages anymore, but there are many, many women fading away with tuberculosis. And there's got to be an element of a sort of a pavan or some type of slow dance. It's not also quite there in terms of the shaping, although lovely, beautiful things in terms of the modulations and where you went into new colors. I enjoyed that very much. I'd just like to do a little bit with you. And for you, when you are doing a Wolf song like this, there's no point in trying to zap it up for public consumption in case it gets boring. You've got to go for what it is, full scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And very carefully program it so that, the people in the audience will know it's a real Hugo Wolf group. Schwarzkopf and Legg used to do complete Hugo Wolf recitals at the Festival Hall that was sold out in the 70s, not 70s, late 60s. That's when they sort of ended. And right through to about 75, actually. And there's less of an appetite for this for his music. I really feel Wolf has had a bit of a downturn in the last 20 years. Maybe because, the fanatical advocacy of Legg and Schwarzkopf really brought it into big focus on records. There was hardly, every record, every piece, but now it's Brahms's songs are heard infinitely more these days than Wolf's. It's a great pity because this is very great music. Could I suggest that if one, just let me play a bit before. So one is already in a sort of another planet. One doesn't actually, and in a way, if you think of it in a very slow 2/2, even though it's not written 2/2, it's what gives it that sense of Ophelia-like, with the skirt dancing and in another world, and already half in another world and half in heaven, half dead. Let me just play a few bars, then you can take it over. Yeah.
Lasst mich scheinen, bis ich werde. Seht mir das klarweiße Kleid nicht aus. Ich eile von der schönen Erde.
That's the type of, it really doesn't, in a sense, there's a slight lift to that tempo that
Yeah.
it didn't have with yours.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Go from Komma Alta, I want to just do that.
Okay.
Front Komma. Yeah, you must really practice that with the pianist, so
Yeah.
that it really is tough. But and use your jung
Take
more,
off,
not
yeah.
wieder jung, wieder
Okay.
as if you are searching by that octave leap for some incredible revelation. Just do that phrase again. Really do that diminution on wieder. It's like you're crossing the threshold into
Okay.
some ethereal region. Yeah, very much better. But in that question of trying to get on that vowel,
Yeah.
something that is, you diminuended it, but to get it to suddenly piano is a tough task. In a way, it's almost, it's very, very, some of this great music is almost unperformable because the composer has in his head a prescription of what he wants that is extremely difficult to deliver, and he doesn't care. I think one of the things that I could suggest to you is that you shouldn't let yourself get so warmly, passionately, thick-voiced on the last page when it gets forte.
Yeah.
If you could be thinking of a slightly more etiolated sound
Yeah.
there, because the cutback is too much suddenly.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I
If you
do.
could, you allow yourself a very heartfelt, womanly sound on those last bars, and then suddenly I want something that's almost childlike, and it's just too difficult to do.
Yeah.
Have you done the Cantato das Land as well?
Yes, a long time ago. It's same challenge for me as this last page.
Yeah. Well, it also goes up and down, and it's got a big range of sound, etc.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know, that whenever you get something that actually goes syncopated, there's a sort of a feeling of a dance. I've always thought that the secret of this piece is that it should be slightly a mad scene.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of her saying to the kids who say, "Oh, Mignon, take off your angel's wings, Mignon," and she says, "No, let me be. So lasst mich scheinen, bis ich werde." Wolf is imagined her going, "Oh, take off your wings, Mignon." So lasst mich scheinen, bis ich werde. That sort of color.
Yeah.
Like she's already spaced out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's getting that magical feeling of her being in that world where she's escaping from all the pain, all the abuse that she's had. This incredible discovery that will be made only after she's lying dead, having died, that she is actually the harper's daughter, that she is the daughter of a nun and a monk who'd had an affair, neither realizing with the other that they're brother and sister. And who says that, you know, the 19th century wasn't capable of shock horror stories? But actually she's one of those great characters, and one of the great books, by the way. Have you ever read a book that came out about a few years ago by Terence Cave called Mignon's Afterlives?
No.
Mignon's Afterlives is one of the best books ever because it shows how the character of Mignon completely dominates the work of Walter Scott, everybody up to Angela Carter's in Life at the Circus with Feathers. I mean, the idea of this vulnerable, childlike character gets written into literature. Little Dorrit, Little Nell, Dickens models his characters on Mignon. And the sinned against innocent child girl who somehow is too good for this world.
Yeah.
You know, that was used again and again. It was a vastly influential novel. And and this particular book dates from 1795. Walter Scott's Ellen, you've maybe sung those songs from The Lady of the Lake of Schubert, Ave Maria, Rasta Krieger. She also has a father who plays the harp, and it's that same thing. We wouldn't have had The Lady of the Lake if Goethe hadn't written Wilhelm Meister. That's it's a wonderful book because it shows how a novel that's hardly read at all today completely influenced so much 19th century literature, because Goethe was a trendsetter. And of course the greatest of the German leader poets. And it's good that he's been represented today. Well, we could talk like this forever. I would love to have heard that again and the other one again. It's just amazing how quickly half an hour goes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.